Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back today. Now, I'm going to be showing you obviously some very disturbing video today, but it needs to be shown because without really knowing exactly what's going on, it's like you're not going to make the right decisions. These are the people that have completely lost their damn minds, and it has not really gotten better. And now there is a woman now that is actively trying to saying that puberty blockers is okay for children, and I think we all know that that's not okay. Take a look at this clip to show the untouchable proof of insanity and psychoticness in a person that is a garbage human being.
Used once puberty has started, but not when you're too far along. And what they do is they just pause your puberty where it's at. And that gives you time to further explore your gender identity without the extra pressure of developing in a gender in which you might not feel comfortable. And then if you continue those puberty blockers long enough, then you can start replacement therapy with the gender identity hormone of your choice when you reach usually around 15 or so, or once you've been on that puberty blocker for at least a couple of years. Hope that answers your question.
Now, we know that this lady is incorrect because we all know puberty blockers cause serious harm and other issues that come with taking puberty blockers. Now, after doing some kind of research, at the very least, we found out that most puberty blockers contain this agent that's called Lupron. And Lupron, which we find out is what does sterilization. Now, look at this here. It says the puberty blocker used most often in BC is called Lupron Depot. It is given through a monthly injection in the thigh. Lupron Depot is quite expensive. It costs around $400 a month. It is covered by BC Pharmacare. Some families have the cost covered by the Pharmacare Plan G. And you have to be specifically focused on this, guys. Now, they're saying puberty blockers don't cause that does not cause sterilization or etc. or stuff like that. However, we do know that is. Look at the very first sentence here. It says the puberty blocker used most often in BC is called Lupron Depot. So they use this most often because it stops because Lupron stops it. So for instance, we have this here, which also says Lupron Depot it works by helping the pituitary gland ignore signals from the brain. This in turn stops the release of sex hormones that cause puberty. So, that being said, since we know that's what happens in terms of what this does, so they have to use Lupron to stop the actual ability to stop sex hormones. Then we have that in general is that that Lupron is a carb-agnostic interactions and bacterial group of 3 male carbapenems. Sorry, I cannot pronounce some of these words. A single dose of lipid acetate Lupron was used in an attempt to chemically sterilize the males. So it does cause sterilization. So since they use this majority of the time for puberty blockers, they would also sterilize people because this causes sterilization. This is a huge problem, and they're lying to you when you go into it. So when you go onto the website here, specifically, and you type in puberty blocker specifically, you'll find out all the puberty blockers do and all this stuff and what have you. The only way you're going to be able to do this, which I'll go over this with you guys exactly, because obviously people need to understand what's going on. So, pretty much, guys, is that what happens here is that puberty blockers essentially do this. And I'm going to remove this here because you guys need to see exactly what I'm talking about. So, if you type in puberty blocker just here, you'll find out what puberty blockers do. Puberty blockers also go hormone blockers help delay unwanted physical changes that don't match someone's gender identity. Delaying these changes can be an important step in young person's transition. It can give your child more time to explore their options before deciding whether or how to transition. What age do puberty start? For most children, puberty begins around ages 10 to 11. Through puberty sometimes starts earlier. The effect of puberty blockers depends on when the child begins to take the medication. Okay, so you have that. What this drug is used improperly? Lupron, used to halt puberty in children, may cause lasting health problems. Yes, we do already know this. So there's that. We have puberty side effects, growth of facial hair, blah 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 blah. Broadening of the shoulders, growth of Adam's apple, etc., etc. Which doesn't really matter because this only pertains to women in general. Men usually get this normally, which obviously this affects women more. So, IRS. How long can you delay puberty, and I guess all this stuff. But so what they're giving to you is that infertility. It says puberty are falsely claimed to cause infertility and be reversible despite no substantiated evidence. So this is what we have here, and that is they are lying to people, because when you go to Lupron, as I shown here, I'll put it up again, it does cause sterilization. And if we go back to where to what drug is being used in puberty blockers, it says it's Lupron. So you cannot tell me that it does not cause sterilization. When people look at this stuff and they're all like, oh, it doesn't cause sterilization, they didn't do enough research. Because Google and their freaking evil bullshit will censor everything. And the only way that you're going to do it is have to do more extensive research to find out. They tell you what's in it, but you just have to scroll all the way down to find it. Because people will only look the first couple of things and not find out. Okay, so it has Lupron. So what does Lupron do? You have to look on what Lupron does. And then when you find out what Lupron does, it causes sterilization. So they're lying to you when they say it doesn't cause sterilization. You hear this. People that want to transition. If you want to have kids, if you want to be able to have a family later in life, do not take puberty blockers. Yes, HRT will obviously cause way worse problems, but puberty blockers will also cause sterilization. They're not telling you this because of the fact that they want to keep it a secret. They don't want to tell you the actual reality of it all. Now, if we go down to this here, how long does it take for testosterone to make you fertile? Well, the study found that regular testosterone used for 10 to 12 weeks caused suppression of sperm production and even endospermia, albeit inconsistently. Well, there you have it. It can make you infertile as a man if you take it too long. And then it says, can you stay on puberty blockers forever? Again, I'll put this up. If Phoenix later decides they wish to discontinue blockers, their endogenous female puberty will recommend, or they can commence a testosterone therapy. Long-term puberty suppression may not be completely reversible, in the sense that it may result in long-term bone density changes that cannot be reversed entirely. Yes, because what they're not telling you is they are actively, when you grow, specifically a male or female, your bone density changes, etc., etc. So your body gets all out of whack when you do this, because women and men have different bone densities. They have different bone structure. So when you change this, it causes a massive problem. So, when you go to do puberty blockers have long-term side effects, it's also worth noting that Lupron, one of the drugs widely used as a puberty blocker, has reported to have long-term adverse effects in women and who used to treat precocious puberty. Women have reported had issues including depression and bone thinning and chronic pain, which is not really a surprise, because they're also used to sterilize them. They're also not telling you, by the way, that it doesn't cause sterilization, which we all know it does. So, be as it may, we all do know that puberty blockers cause these problems. And by the way, this woman is also the TikTok girl that I'm talking about. Also, by the way, is actively teaching kids about sex and stuff like that and all whatnot. So it's actually quite disturbing. So yeah, this is the issues. Now let's get on to the bigger matter. Well, these are actually big matters, but this as well is an issue. Take a look at this clip here, where we have doctors explaining on how to experiment on children, how to fix some of these things, and it all sounds like an experimentation. It's quite fucked, and we need to stop it. Take a little bit of a reality for you. It'll do you good.
was an observation that I had, that every single child or adolescent who was truly blocked at Tanner stage 2 has never experienced orgasm. I mean, it's really about zero. These are just assigned male at birth, so trans feminine, and it's because they never in their lives are exposed to testosterone. That doesn't change. So blockers prevent the rise of testosterone, and they don't really go on testosterone at or around surgery or into adulthood. And so we don't know. They're going to have this sensation. There's no question about that. But are they going to be able to achieve sexual satisfaction? It's important in relationships. And I know that from my work with female genital mutilation survivors, that the lack of being able to be intimate with a partner is very important. And so this is what really raised the red flag for me, is to say, look, we need to have our eyes open about it. I think it's been beneficial talking about it. I know Joe and many others have reported to me, they've changed their approach a little bit in their informed consent models, and that we're talking about masturbation now. We're talking about, okay, that's an area of the body that's got very dysphoric for you, but you know what? It's all a penis is just a large clitoris. I mean, it's all the same material. It really is. So use it for the pleasurable purposes, partially that it was intended, and we'll see what happens. But these are to be answered questions. So can we avoid puberty and get good adult results? And secondly, how do we assure someone that they're going to be able to be sexually responsive? Do we remove the blockers during the course of their adolescence and let a little bit of puberty come back? Do we delay it a little bit, maybe into Tanner's 3 or 4, maybe before they have their first orgasms? Maybe.
See, we want to talk about, they're actively talking about experimentation on children and how they can make things better. So the only way they're going to do this is by testing the waters and seeing how they could do this. And the only way they can do that is by experimenting and trying things. So they actively are experimenting on your kids. They notice the problem, but they have to test it, right? And the only way you do this is through trial and error. So they're pretty much testing on humans, and they happen to use the kids as the guinea pigs. They're saying it quite loud and clear. They're not actively saying testing or experimentation, but it's quite obvious that that's what they're doing. How else can you test this stuff or do this stuff without actually experimenting on people? That's just the way it is. These people are evil, they're disgusting, and they need to be absolutely removed from society. In jail forever. If not, personally, well, Minecrafted. Because it's ridiculous. It needs to stop. The insanity needs to stop. The kids are in incredible danger by these people. And they're every single possible way to destroy their lives. And let's add to another thing to this fact. When these people start learning about what puberty blockers does to kids or whatever, they just kind of laugh it off. Yeah, it's very funny, isn't it?
If you start a puberty blocker before standard stage 2, you're going to be infertile, and you'll never be able to have an orgasm.
So that's more important. That's the most important thing. Who needs an orgasm? All right, I'm going to go and see my transgender child and bring them.
Thanks for talking with me.
Yeah, these people are so deranged that they'll laugh at children being infertile or having an orgasm. Yeah, because that's not a part of a normal human interaction. People want to do these type of things. These are things that are very important. This is kind of normal, and it shows the evil tree of these people when they start laughing at kids about being infertile or not being able to have that said orgasm. Which is, tragic. You go to detransitioners, and this is the problem that they're facing, and these people laugh. This is how evil they are. This is how disgusting they are. They're not human anymore. They're just people that are garbage. And I think we need to start realizing that. We should know that already. These people are evil, and they don't care for children at all, period. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share. As always, take care.